I watched Behind the Sims, so you don't have to. And this is what happened. It's always nice to see behind the scenes, especially when it's funny stuff like this. It's nice that they did a behind the Sims video and included some new info about horses and Project Rene and, the other stuff, Sims Mobile and Free Play, which I am not covering today.
Sorry for all the players who play that.
Players will be able to create horses right away and create a sim. There are more than 30 various breeds to choose from. Plus, you can mix the breeds and create your own little mixed bred horse. It looks like horses will have 2 life stages,
which makes sense to how all the animals work in the game.
We'll be able to select the color for 5 different hair sections. Plus, there are 2 poses for the horses, so you can ensure that you're making the perfect one. I'm hoping that we can paint and use a color wheel on the horses, like cats and dogs. However, it wasn't shown here.
My fingers are still crossed, though.
It looks like over here, these categories are for hoofs, body, hair, coat, clothing, and color.
You see that color one? I'm hoping that's where you paint and use the color wheel thing right there.
Horses come along with their own traits, including aggressive, brave, defiant, energetic, fearful, free spirit, friendly, independent, intelligent, mellow, and needy. It's nice to see more of how the horses will move around and interact and how they're just gonna look. I like that they showed us this child interacting with the horse and this footage of a child getting onto an adult horse so they can ride. And I do think that I prefer the fact that the horse kind of lays down for the child to get on and that the child doesn't use like a step stool or something. I think this way is cuter. Talking about riding. Riding is a new skill. When your sim is just starting out, they're going to look awkward and the horses might act accordingly.
They're like, hey, who is this Akko Taco on my back?
Overall, beginner riders look a little silly and I think it's fun. You can use these barrels as an agility course for riding. I'm not completely sure what's happening here. Are these fences and they're simply running through them? Is this an agility course type of thing using fences? Is it just to simply show off the fact that the horses can run around tight corners while maintaining their natural graceful look? I need answers. Horses and their sim counterparts are partners. That's why it's important to bond with your horses. Bonding will take time and patience. It'll make for a happier training experience and will be better for both the horse and for the sim. Mini goats and mini sheep are animals that you can take care of.
That we know already.
I'm assuming they're pretty much like the chickens from Cottage Living, and they even have a similar coop-like shed. Lastly, you'll be able to host events where Sims come over and check out your animals. I'm kind of obsessed with this idea. Can you imagine being invited to someone's house so they can show off their animals and pets to you? If it was more socially acceptable, I would totally host an event to show off Merlin.
I'm kind of obsessed with her.
Okay, I have to be honest, I loved this section of Behind the Sims. I feel like they threw a bunch of buzzwords at us to get us excited for Project Rene, and honestly, it worked. This sounds like exciting stuff. To begin, they talked about exploring new lighting technologies to create better scenes for both on the computer and on mobile.
Because remember, Project Rene will be able to be played on both.
Now, these images are beautiful in regards to the lighting, so I love what's going on here. I want to know more. I would love to see that in game. And then, they talked about their vision for animation, which is driven by the phrase, read the room.
Which, I've heard that before when I'm talking too much about my Sims.
Anywho, this means they want players to know how Sims feel and what they're thinking just by how the Sims are behaving. The game needs to support various attitudes, emotions, and postures to display this info to the player. Here you can see an active, passive, and secure handshake animation. Next, they hinted at Sims within the world having their very own schedule and routine. This is fantastic and something I've always thought that should be included. If characters in Stardew Valley can have schedules and routines, it makes sense that other characters in other life Sims can too. I think this will make for a lively world that feels realistic. Another hint we got was about flexible coloring for hairstyles, and I love that idea. Last but not least, they explained how they're playing around with how much info is portrayed on the screen through UI. How much do we need? How little do we need? How much is too much? And how little is too little? For me personally, I like it when UI is clean, simple, and displays info that you absolutely need, but there are sections that you can dive into, all like the stats and all that type of stuff. See more info. So yeah, there we go. Another behind the Sims. I feel like we got less info this time around, but at least there wasn't a dance number or musical break. There was a little break to talk about Sims lore, in particular about the Caliente twins, which, you know, perfect timing, because if you don't know, I've been doing this detective series, and you know, if you want to learn more about the twins, you should watch to find out. Thank you for being here. You're awesome and I appreciate you. Until next time, bye!